Wendy's CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by Wendy's. Wendy's Bacon Mushroom Melt is back for a limited time. Wendy's, it's better here. By Molson Canadian, I am Canadian. And by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed.
Week 5 begins with a Week 1 rematch. After a shaky start, Winnipeg bombed the Argos with 5 touchdown tosses in the season opener. After Winnipeg's 48-point victory over Ottawa, Toronto's defense will be tested tonight.
Well, tested through the air and along the ground. The Bombers are number 1 team in the league passing, and Charles Roberts number 2 rushing it.
And we'll get a look outside as they open Sky Dome. 22 degrees out there. The wind could be a bit of a factor. North gusting to 25 km/h.
Dave Ritchie pushed his team after a surprising loss to Ottawa in Week 3. They responded in a big way last week in the rematch, putting over 50 on the board.
And Gary Echeverry began his CFL career with these Argos and won a Grey Cup in his very first season. His game is defense, and that is the key to success for Toronto again tonight. Argos come in with 1 win and 3 losses. The Bombers are the reverse of that, 3 wins in 4 games. Set to kick it off. Bombers won the toss and have decided to defer. So Westwood puts it deep. This is Marcellus Turner out across the 30 to about the 35-yard line. 14 on the return. Mike Sellers leading the tacklers there. Michael Bishop makes his 3rd start for the Argos. Last week in Edmonton, he fired 2 passes that went the wrong way for touchdowns. The Argos will welcome ex-Lion Juan Johnson to bolster the running attack, and they'll hope to get the ball to Daryl Mitchell. Up front, this has been consistent for the last 3 games for Toronto. On first down, Juan Johnson gets the first call of the night.
It's a Winnipeg defense that is ranked number 1 versus the run, number 1 versus the pass, giving up just under 47 yards per game along the ground. That is scary good numbers. In the secondary, they help out with that ground defense as well. Harold Nash Jr., big hitter last week in the game versus the Ottawa Renegades.
Starting lineups brought to you by Midas. See Midas for all your car care needs. Midas, we do that. First pass by Bishop is batted down, and the Argos are 2 and outs. So this offensive sequence ends in a hurry.
Well, Michael Bishop in his first start got off to a pretty good start as far as getting that W. He was in BC and surprised the Lions with 217 yards, really put on a show with his legs and his arm strength, and then really struggled versus the Edmonton Eskimos, starting that game off with a couple of interceptions that went back for touchdowns.
Noel Prefontaine having another banner season for the Argos, standing back at his 20-yard line. And the lone man deep for Winnipeg is Charles Roberts. Roberts moves across the 30 to grab this one. Good burst of speed. Grabbed from behind by Chris Neal. The return only 7 yards. Winnipeg quarterback Kahari Jones passed for 325 yards and 5 touchdowns in his best performance of the season last week. Missing from the Bomber attack, Harlan Bruce III. Returning, Antonio Brown to join Milt Stegall. And explosive Charles Roberts is there. Up front, Matt Sherwin returns to the offensive line. Bombers with slightly better field position, beginning just shy of the 45. Jones on target with his first to Marcus Howell.
Defensively for the Argos, Joe Mumford up front in a bit of a different role. He's totaling up the tackles, but only has 1 sack so far on the season. In the secondary, Michael Fletcher, a real hitter at the safety position. Adrian Smith has an interception on the corner.
Mumford had 9 tackles against BC and 8 plus a sack against Edmonton.
Yeah, the tackles are there. The sacks are not.
2nd and 3. And Stegall makes his first catch across midfield. Dropped there immediately by Antonius Bonner.
Well, this is maybe the most dangerous 1-2 punch in the league. We look at Kahari Jones' numbers, on pace for over 5,100 yards, and then his go-to guy is #1 receiver Milt Stegall, almost 500 after four games.
4 1,000-yard seasons for Stegall, a 3-time All-Canadian. Bombers are 1st and 10 inside Toronto territory at the 53. Charles Roberts around the corner, breaks 1, and is better than 5 yards on the carry there.
Oh yeah, and then there's that other weapon, Charles Roberts, #2 in the league in rushing the football. Here is a guy right now that is on pace, you're talking all-purpose yards, of over 4,000.
909 all-purpose yards. That's the total for Charles Roberts in 4 games.
It's just amazing what he does. Last week versus Ottawa, 96 yards in punt returns, 24 in kick returns, 131 rushing.
On 2nd down, Jones to the near side, and Howell has his 2nd catch. It'll be another Winnipeg 1st down. Orlando Steinauer over to make the tackle.
Well, and what that does for Kahari Jones is it gives him so many options. When you look at Charles Roberts in the backfield, you got Milt Stegall, another guy who's really played well, especially against these Argos in week 1. Antonio Brown on the outside. That's a speed guy. He's got so many weapons. Puts the Toronto defense in a bind. You can't really key completely on the run, and yet you have to worry a little bit about it.
Roberts tries the other side, and he's grabbed on the scruff of the neck and hauled down by Chris Neal. So a loss of 1 yard there. Kahari might be a little bit nervous tonight. Fatherhood is approaching. It could be any day now. So the Bombers have the cell phones on the bench, and they've been keeping in touch with the hospital, or at least back home in Winnipeg, to find out how his wife is doing.
Justine Jones, hang on for about a week. Well, about 4 or 5 days. Because he's got to go to Montreal after this.
Wait till Sunday, Justine. It would be just about perfect.
It would be
Sunday afternoon, round 3. 2nd and 11. Kahari has Roberts again, and he ran into one of his own players. Actually slowed down by Antonio Brown. Michael Fletcher made the tackle.
Antonio Brown, John, may get a penalty for this. He came in late. I'm not sure if he was hit into the pile or not.
Penalty marker is down, and we'll sort out the situation.
And just to get back one quick second to that.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, #50, 1st down.
It's actually on Michael O'Shea. Antonio Brown was right in the area of the tackle.
Well, actually, if you looked at it, it looked like Roberts stumbled over Brown. And something after that, Michael O'Shea was in the middle of.
Keeps his drive alive for the Bombers. Just Kahari Jones, by the way, will go home if he gets the call. He will not play in Montreal if he gets the call between now and then.
That was the plan, and there was some wondering if he was going to play tonight, if it was close, but so far everything is under control on the home front. O'Shea comes up to make the play after taking the penalty.
Well, if you saw the pregame show, Mike Clemens, president of the club, talking about how his defense is getting better every single game. They're going to have to be good tonight with all the weapons, but Michael O'Shea with good pursuit. After Martavius Houston, Johnny Scott forced Charles Roberts closer to the sideline.
The Argos have forced the Bombers into a couple of losses on this drive. 4-yard loss there. This is 2nd and 14. Jones sprints to his right, has a man open. Can he stay inside? They call it a catch on the far side. That's Jamie Stoddard, who is in for Arlen Bruce III as a starter tonight.
Couple of guys open there for Kahari Jones. Jamie Stoddard caught the ball. He was on the outside. He had about 3 or 4 yards of space. As you can see, it was actually about 8 yards of space in behind the zone coverage there from Clifford Ivory. And Milt Stegall was also open on the play. He wasn't even covered at the line of scrimmage.
This will be the 9th play of this opening drive for the Bombers. Inside the 15. Shotgun for Kahari. To his left this time.
Oh, my.
Took a hit. Stiegel was the target.
Michael O'Shea was close to a penalty, not on the timing of the hit from Kahari Jones trying to shake it off. Oh man, that's solid hit. Now the reason I say close to a penalty, the reason I say close to a penalty is it looked like the timing to me was okay, but O'Shea hit him pretty high. He got his arms up high. You saw Kahari Jones' head snap back. He's still trying to. His senses about him.
2nd and 10 Bombers. Shotgun for Jones. This one is picked up, and it's O'Shea. A little redemption for the penalty. O'Shea out across midfield, still going. Laterals it off. Golson carried it another 5 yards. So O'Shea took a penalty and looked bad for the Argos. He then hammered Kahari Jones and then intercepted his very next pass. Interesting turnaround. Kahari Jones in the middle of it all.
Michael O'Shea makes a big play on the interception, but he did it the play earlier. This was the hit, Michael O'Shea on Kahari Jones. Kahari Jones never recovered from that hit, and the very next play, O'Shea number 50 slides out a ball that Kahari Jones didn't even look like he saw him. O'Shea gets the biggest play of this game so far on a play previous to the interception.
Talbot makes the catch. Flags are down. This is Andre Talbot. And that'll be enough yardage for a first down for the Argos. 70 yards on the interception return by O'Shea and Golston.
And at the end of that play, I loved how Michael O'Shea pitched that back. You mentioned he pitched it to a bigger guy.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Winnipeg, number 90, first down.
The idea is to pitch it to a smaller guy.
Well, he did that in the first game of the season. That is O'Shea. And he found Michael Fletcher, and Fletcher took it for a 65-yard touchdown after O'Shea made the interception.
But that's a smaller guy. See, O'Shea's 245 and Fletcher's 200. So you give it to the smaller guy, he goes in the end zone.
And it works.
Yeah. O'Shea gives it to Golston. He's 275. That doesn't work.
He's not going to go the distance. So Bishop misses there.
Well, Bishop just took a late hit call from Denny Fortney, and I think that might have been an attempt from that Winnipeg defense for a little payback on what Michael O'Shea did to their quarterback. Of course, they did it late and were caught for it.
So this will be 2nd and 10. Argonauts are inside the Blue Bomber 10. So goal to go from there at about the 9. Juan Johnson. And there's a penalty on the far side. It could be procedure going against Toronto here.
Juan Johnson, we're all very interested to see how he plays tonight. First of all, against the #1 rush defense in the game. Second of all, he's the guy that they thought in the offseason could replace.
Offside, Toronto number 18. That penalty's declined. It's going to be 3rd down.
To replace Michael Jenkins, of course, led the league last year. So Juan Johnson had close to 1,000 yards in 98 to BC Lions, 6.2-yard average that year. And if they can get even close to 6.2 out of him this year, they've got a chance. Sam Zanders was around 4.
Mike Morelli was a stride offside, so that cost the Argos an opportunity. Noel Prefontaine good on 5 of 7 coming in. Lines this one up and hammers it through. So the Argos turn a 70-yard interception return into 3 points to take the lead. According to head coach Gary Echeverry, this guy is the leader and always the captain of the Argonaut defense. Makes a huge play here.
Well, this is his stop all the way. He had the big hit, which Kahari Jones a little shaken up, and then he comes with this interception. Here's the best part of it, though. Little pitch back to Kendrick Golston. Right there. He looked at Clifford Ivory, and he didn't get his weights right. Gave it to the heavier guy of the two.
Golston only got about 7 yards more. Charles Roberts returning for Winnipeg. Out near the 35. Met there by Kevin Eben.
We've seen some quarterbacks be pounded so far this year. You look back to Danny McManus in BC. Sounds like he'll be okay for their Ottawa game. Jason Moss versus Saskatchewan probably won't play this week. Doesn't look like he's going to play. So quarterbacks are taking a pounding, and Kahari Jones was hit hard by Michael O'Shea. Looks like he's okay. His 7th interception on the season.
Argos needed something to get them going here against this highly regarded Winnipeg team. And a 3-0 lead may not sound like much, but it's better than what it was looking like just seconds before that, as the Bombers engineered a very impressive 10-play drive. That was Antonio Brown, the target of Kahari Jones.
Well, they need Antonio Brown back. He's a guy who can stretch the defense, a speed guy from the outside, and that last play he moved right back into the middle. And what a story, Antonio Brown. He has had probably the most tragic upbringing that you can imagine. He's a guy who lost his younger brother when he was 14 years old back in '97. He was killed, lived in Miami.
Marcus Howell stayed in bounds for a split second. He should have the first down.
Antonio Brown then in '97 also lost his older sister. She was 33 and she was killed at Christmas time. And then in '92 he lost his father, who was also killed in Miami. Through all that, he did not fall off the edge and get involved in with the wrong people. Fought through, went to West Virginia and got his degree in 4 years.
Nice young player for the Blue Bombers. Got a 41-yard touchdown in week 1. Here's Charles Roberts. Talk about speed and finesse. This guy has it all. He's a terrific acquisition who joined Winnipeg last year.
That was student body right, is what that was. That's just put everybody on the right side, get those receivers close, and see if you can't get a couple of blocks for Charles Roberts. And he doesn't need a couple. Charles Roberts sometimes doesn't need any blocks. He just needs some space. You can put him in space. He doesn't need a block. He'll make you miss.
Bombers are on the move again after an impressive opening drive that came up empty. Roberts again, and there's the space Glenn was talking about. No blocks. Can he turn the corner here? Won't get away from Adrian Smith.
Well, how many blocks did Charles Roberts get on this play? Didn't get any there at the point of attack, so he said, well, I'll just come back here. I need a little space. There's a move right there. And I got a little bit of room. And
needed one about there when number 12 cut up to him.
But you can't, I don't think he can beat 12. I mean, sometimes you beat 3 or 4. You need a little help.
Adrian Smith had a beat on him.
Even Charles Roberts, I don't think, can beat all 12.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. Kahari back on the money, far side. It's Stoddard again. He's inside the 30 and down to about the 26. Wrapped up there by Adrian Smith.
It's a confident throw for Kahari Jones, and a good sign for Bomber fans that he has bounced back from the hit that Michael O'Shea handed out. Because that's a throw to the wide side of the field from the hash mark, which is about, I don't know, 40, 43-yard throw to get it out there. And he threw it on time to Stoddard, who made the catch in the first down. Got to have confidence, and you got to have your senses about you to throw that and make that play.
From the Argonaut 27, first down Winnipeg. This is the big guy, Sellers. And Mike Sellers is stopped after a couple. Actually, it looks more like a 1-yard gain.
Well, Mike Sellers is an unbelievable addition for Winnipeg, and a guy that all he really wants is the ball a little bit more.
Well, he got it a little more last week from the earlier games in the season. 3 rushes last week. Kahari Jones, 2nd and 9. Stiegel was the target, and yes, flags do come down. Michael Fletcher, the Argonaut safety, was a little early.
Well, and here's the thing, though, with this Argonaut defense is that they're asking Michael Fletcher to cover Milt Stegall from back at the safety position, because if you look at the line of scrimmage, there's Stegall right there. He is not covered at the line of scrimmage. This Argo player is going to rush.
Toronto number 2, first down.
So Michael Fletcher has got to be about 12 yards out. See, there's no one covering him on the line of scrimmage. If Stegall gets the ball earlier, he's still running with it. The ball's thrown a little late, and Fletcher's too early.
Well, they grabbed him around the hip and spun him around.
It's tough to cover a guy, though, from that far away.
So the net gain for the Bombers is 20 yards. They're set up at the 6. Touchdown toss for Sellers. Off his fingertips. Steinauer was covering.
Sellers has great hands for a big man, and he is that at 260. He's number 33 to the right of your screen there. Just gets turned around, though. If that ball is just up and outside, Orlando Steinauer comes over just to distract him enough.
Too much arc on that?
No, that should have been caught, no question, but he gives Steinauer a little bit of credit. He's on his way over.
Spoken like a safety. Second and goal from the 6, and that one is drilled in. Stegall has the touchdown. Almost impossible to stop. 5th touchdown of the year for Milt Stegall.
Kahari pays the price again as he's hit delivering that pass. New dance every time from these guys. It's going to be to this side of your screen, just inside move, and you can see the inside position that Milt Stegall has right there on Antonius Bonner. If you give away the middle of the field as a defensive back, you have no chance. Then you add 85 to the mix. There's no chance you're going to get there in time.
A couple of impressive drives for the Blue Bombers. This one, net 7. A 73-yard drive ends right there. Milt Stegall makes his 6th touchdown catch of the year. Milt Stegall made it look easy, catching his 5th touchdown of the season.
Well, it becomes easy when you have the whole middle of the field to work with, and that's really what Milt Stegall had, and he's the best in the business at getting there in a hurry when he sees no safety.
Couple of cracks at it for the Blue Bombers from the 6. Kahari Jones nailed it on his 2nd try. Ready for the kickoff. Troy Westwood. Marcellus Turner back to the 10. And he's off. All the way out to the 45. Harold Nash over to make the tackle. Nice return of 40 yards.
Here's what I'm talking about on the touchdown, John. When the safety is out of the middle, watch Michael Fletcher. This is where he's lined up. Now, if you see the safety out of the middle and you're Milt Stegall, here's what you're trying to do. Trying to get inside the receiver and go right to the middle of the field where that safety was supposed to be. And if you get inside position like Stegall does on Antonius Bonner, it's over. Kahari Jones paid the price to deliver that one, too. Another hit, this one from Mumford.
Argos begin. Shy of the 45. Juan Johnson almost to the 50. Stopped at about the 49.
Now Juan Johnson, to be fair on Juan Johnson, he's going to take about a quarter and a half to try and settle in. You're playing in your first game of the year. If it's week 1 or week 4, it doesn't matter. It takes a while. You feel like you can't even move at the beginning. The adrenaline's pumping. It takes him a while to settle in, get a few hits on him, and then see if he can relax a little bit.
5 yards the gain, 2nd and 5. Bishop will put it up over the middle. And he's got Mookie Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell making the catch.
Now,
and that's his first in, a while, because there were 0 catches for Mitchell last week.
That's amazing. That truly is amazing, especially when you consider you have a young quarterback. Mitchell's going to be over here on this side of your screen. You have a young quarterback. You know, one of the easiest ways to get him comfortable in the system is just to lock him in and just say, hey, look for number 87. He's not bad.
Maybe a good plan for the rookie quarterback, a hurry-up offense. Daniels for a couple.
Now, what did Gary Echeverry tell you, though, at the press conference yesterday?
Well, he was talking about Mitchell not getting the ball, but he said he had to beat man coverage more frequently.
Which would maybe be a message to Daryl Mitchell to try and push him a little bit.
Well, he told me that. I don't know if he told Daryl.
Well, we'll watch very closely to see if Daryl Mitchell is open. 0 catches versus the Edmonton Eskimos, like you mentioned, John. And we'll watch him tonight, see if he is getting open.
Flags are down. Bishop puts it up. Mitchell's got it again. And he's found him. So we'll check and see what the infraction is here. Who was offside?
The reaction there from the offensive line of the Argos would indicate
offside. Toronto, number 87. Repeat second down.
Well, now if he's going downhill, he can be in the neutral zone, but he can't stop. See how he stopped? The new rule, and it was kind of the Elgard rule. Think back to Elgard from Saskatchewan, Ray Elgard. They had to find a way to stop calling those procedures because the slapbacks are allowed to move towards the line of scrimmage, but they always got so close. So they put this rule in: if you're moving forward and you're in the neutral zone, it's okay, but you can't put the brake on like Daryl Mitchell did there.
The result there, net loss of 34 yards, making this 2nd and 13. Bishop stands up, looks for another receiver, has Talbot, and that will be a first down Argos. So good reaction from Bishop there in a crucial situation after losing a big play and coming back at 2nd and 13.
It was tremendous poise from a young quarterback, Michael Bishop. I'll show you the poise right here. Things start to break down for him. The pocket is starting to collapse, but he sees the one lane and then takes his time, finds a receiver, and delivers the pass.
17-yard gain. Barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the opening quarter. Bishop looked one way, has Mitchell. Touchdown, Toronto. Well, he's beating the coverage tonight.
And they're looking for him tonight.
Raphael Ball was the closest Bomber defender.
What a throw by Michael Bishop, though. And this time he shows his arm strength. And he's got great arm strength. You see number 13 at the bottom of your screen. That's Tom Europe. And Bishop has to get this ball between Tom Europe and Raphael Ball. And see, that one is right through the head of the needle.
Time for one more. Prefontaine has the converts. And that is the final play of the opening quarter. 17 points on the board. Could be in for a great night here at Skydome.
3-point lead for the Argos after 1 quarter, and despite the fact that Mookie Mitchell has not been that busy catching balls, that's his 4th touchdown reception so far this season. They learned something from watching the Bombers and Kahari Jones work, didn't they, Matt?
Yeah, it's philosophy. Down in the scoring territory, Winnipeg immediately goes to their #1 guy, Milt Stegall, and they don't connect at first, but they do get an important penalty. You have everybody up top here. Kahari's seen this 1,000 times. Cover 0. Give it to Milt. Timing's off here a little bit. Milt goes up, and he's actually covered by Fletcher there a little too early. Next time, you get the penalty, 1st and 10. Everybody's up in the line of scrimmage again. Here's your go-to guy. Go to him again. He's your bread and butter. Kahari knows this. Toronto takes their lead after they see Milt Stegall putting the ball in the end zone, and you saw Toronto bounce back, Chris, with a touchdown their own, going to Mookie Mitchell, finally getting him in the ball.
I know, Matty. I want to talk about this hit that Mike O'Shea laid on Kahari Jones, because this is the hit of the year so far in the Canadian Football League. To me, this is amazing from 2 points of view. First, that Kahari can get up after getting smacked like that 2 times. His head and also his body. Other thing, Mike O'Shea, toughest guy on the Argonauts. A good friend of mine, Jerry Townend, the trainer. I said, who is the toughest guy on your football team? He said, Mike O'Shea in all areas, mental, physical, and emotional. The guy's underrated. Good football player, Jock.
Indeed he is. Now, Toronto's defense, that's what I want to talk about. They're doing a good job tonight so far, except they're giving up the 2 easiest plays in football. As a receiver, you got the slant pass, and Matt Dunnigan drew that up for you. Now we got the hitch pass. They had gone up and down the field with that little hitch pass. If they can find a way to tighten up on the corners and deny that little 5-6 yard hitch and take away the slant pattern, they're going to be in good shape here for the second quarter.
Kahari Jones did take that hit, but he gets up and throws another touchdown pass. We're just into week 5. He's got 15 touchdown passes already. Back to Skydome.
And we're all set to begin the second quarter here with Toronto on top 10-7. Daryl Mitchell, the touchdown here.
He has his touchdown in his zone defense, and in his zone defense, if you don't jam Daryl Mitchell, you see right there, Byron Capers, he doesn't get enough with Daryl Mitchell. He pushes him in the back, and in fact, he pushes Daryl Mitchell into the seam. Raphael Ball can't get there, neither can Tom Europe. If you're going to play zone against Daryl Mitchell, you have to restart him at the line of scrimmage. Capers didn't get that done.
Second quarter underway. Mike Sellers back on the return for the Bombers out to about the 37 and stop there. 33-yard touchdown for Mookie Mitchell. What's interesting, that's his 4th of the season. A couple of catches tonight.
And he moves up the Argo list. Past the president. Now, I think that's okay.
Well, it's not really good for job security, I don't believe. Unless you've got credentials like Mitchell.
Yeah, I think his job security is pretty good. You see Paul Mazzotti, the GM of the team, right ahead of him.
Yeah, well, that might be dangerous if you get up into that area. Bombers begin 1st and 10. Charles Roberts tries the right side. Look at the speed on the corner. Broke one tackle there.
You know, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the first quarter have moved the ball quite effectively, and maybe haven't scored. That one interception is a big turnover.
That resulted in a field goal. Time of possession favored the Bombers. The opening drive that they came up empty on was impressive, as well as their second drive that ended in the touchdown.
Well, you think about that, it's either 14-3 or 14-10 at the very worst for the Bombers. And they turn it around now. That was a 10-point switch in favor of the Argos.
And a huge play going back to that for the guy in the middle, Mike O'Shea. They'll measure this correctly now. Setting up the sticks on the other side of the football field. It will be a first down, picked up by Roberts. Charles Roberts again upended by O'Shea.
You know, we talked about Joe Mumford not playing in his regular position, the position he played in Hamilton when he had all his sacks. I want to show you an example of what we're talking about. Joe Mumford right now, see where he's lined up? He's lined up right there in the linebacking core. Now, unless you're blitzing, you're not going to get many sacks as a linebacker. So there's Joe Mumford. He's going to get his tackles, and in fact, he tackles Charles Roberts. But it takes away from your sack totals. In Hamilton, he runs the quarterback every play.
O'Shea got a hand on Roberts that time as well. This is second down. Jones looking to take off for the first time tonight. Across midfield, and he's short of the first down.
He's short of the first down, but he got down in the nick of time. Because there was an Argo wave bearing down. He gets outside of containment because Mike Sellers does a nice job of catching Joe Mumford on an inside move. But watch the wave coming, and Michael Fletcher will hit you.
Whoa.
He was ready to come over top and take a piece of Kahari Jones.
Duck just in time, and now, in between plays, a flag is thrown.
Now, after that hit that Kahari Jones took from Michael O'Shea, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dave Ritchie come and just remind him.
Toronto, number 53. First down.
Uh-oh. That's going to hurt the Argo. That's Joe Mumford. We saw him get caught on a block from Mike Sellers on that same play, and he obviously wasn't happy that there was no call.
That's the 4th first down for the Blue Bombers by penalty. From the 45. Kahari Jones on first, the handoff to Charles Roberts, and that's a pretty good stick by Mike Fletcher.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. See, Fletcher had a chance at the Kahari, who just got down in time, but you know that was eating away a little bit at Fletcher, so he just dials it up a notch and comes downhill. Watch this. Here he is, and watch him like that fill the hole. Michael Fletcher comes up, and he is not waiting for him. Bam, right in the hole. He hit Mike Pringle when they played each other as hard as I've seen a safety hit a running back.
Roberts picked up 4. This is 2nd and 6. Jones won't get it away. The ball is loose. Picked up by Roberts. It's like a return now. Like a punt return as Roberts got back to the original line of scrimmage. And Chris Neal was the Argonaut making the tackle.
Johnny Scott gets pressure on Kahari Jones. He's the guy who makes things happen. He's going to come from the right of your screen. Right there, he knocks the ball out of Kahari Jones' hand. Now the race to it was won by Charles Roberts. And there's Johnny Scott makes the play at one end and then makes the tackle on Roberts at the other.
And he took it right back to where the ball was fumbled.
Right now,
which is back to the original line of scrimmage. And on 3rd down, Westwood lines up for a 52-yarder. And he got it. Troy Westwood with a 52-yard field goal. We're all even at Skydome. All even at Skydome at 10. Let's bring in the 3rd member of our telecast crew tonight. Here's John Lou.
John, the Bombers have been in the headlines this week on what's happened off the field, specifically running back Troy Mills and receiver Arlen Bruce III. 2 men were attacked outside a downtown Winnipeg bar early Sunday morning by about 10 to 20 people. Now, Arlen Bruce is here in the building, but he's not talking to the media. Bombers official tells me that they're concerned about whether the cut on his head will heal in time to get a helmet on, but they do have a realistic belief that Bruce will be back in time to play Saturday against Alouettes.
Thanks, John. What a wonderful return of 37 yards by Marcellus Turner. Tom Europe got over to make the tackle. I think the A in front of his name, it's A. Marcellus Turner, and I think that's part of a nickname. They call him Archie in the dressing room.
Well, he's shown some things on the returns. Archie Marcellus, or
I think Archie is pretty good.
You like Archie?
Yeah.
We have an Archie Amerson in the league, though.
Yeah,
right? Is that okay, or do you want to? Of course, we have a Marcellos.
We got an Antonios. And that's Juan Johnson.
Well, it's a big difference, though, when you look at what Michael Bishop was dealing with in the Edmonton game. A whole bunch of 2nd and long. I mean, 2nd over 7 yards or more. And it's a big difference when you're in 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. And that's where Juan Johnson comes in.
Bounced around the National Football League after a year with the BC Lions. 6 yards there, 2nd and 4, Toronto. Bishop can't spot anyone open. Now he does, and it was Morreale. Dangerous pass in a couple of ways, although it did get through, and Morreale did get to touch the ball.
Well, it did, and it bounced right off the shoulder pads of Morreale. And I'm wondering if Morreale didn't peek at the defensive backs that were about ready to come over to him. Dave Donaldson on his way.
Might have been tipped there. What do you think?
I don't know. It's very close. Mike Morreale has been playing wide receiver for 4 weeks for the Argos, which is not his natural position. And this week, he's moved back inside, and he's the 5th receiver coming in the game.
Let go.
Flag is down as the ball is booted.
Oh,
and out at the 1 yard line. There was no play at all.
Wow. That's inside the 1 yard line.
51-yard punt.
Now, there are a bunch of flags all over the field, and I'm wondering why there's flags way back there when that ball was not even caught by a returner. But that's
marked inside the 1. They'll bring it out to the 1.
That's angling it to the corner. You can't angle it anymore to the corner. You may have to do it again.
Bombers might have had too many men on the field.
Well, if that's the case, then it's 1st down. It's an Argo 1st down if that's the case, and I believe you're right, John.
Well, here's Morreale coming back onto the field.
Too many men.
Oh, boy.
Winnipeg, 1st down.
Costly error. This drive will continue.
Well, that's a nice punt and all, but the Argos would definitely take that penalty and surprising mistake from a well-coached Winnipeg Blue Bomber team to put one too many on the field.
Bishop got it away in a hurry. Andre Talbot wrapped up almost as quickly.
Yeah, so they changed things around now for this game. Mitchell, of course, we talked about him not getting the ball much. Talbot is now going to be the wide receiver. That moves Mike Morreale inside, someplace where he's more comfortable, not only for himself, but also to help out Mitchell. He knows when Mitchell has a pattern, how he can help Mitchell on that same pattern.
Mitchell with 2 catches tonight, making it 8 on the season. But 4 of those have gone for touchdowns. Those are great numbers. Bishop got it away. Talbot makes the catch. He could be about a yard shy of the first down.
Well, you get a chance to maybe go after it if you're short, because it's that close. But again, good poise there from Michael Bishop. Michael Bishop, when you consider the mistakes he made early in the Edmonton game, has come back strong. He's looked poised in the pocket. He's had some pressure on him.
It'll be 3rd down, about a yard to go. The one thing that Gary Echeverry wants from Michael Bishop in the early parts of his training in Canadian football is he wants him to learn how not to lose the football game.
Yeah.
And that's what he did last week.
That's exactly.
He lost the game.
14 points that he caused was the difference.
3rd and 1, and Bishop should have the first down with no penalty flags anywhere. And I mean, that's something difficult to teach a young quarterback, a guy who is used to getting out there and trying to win football games. It's not that he's not trying to win the game, but at what expense? I mean, don't lose it for us.
Well, it's risk and reward is what you're talking about. Do I risk a throw that maybe I should have thrown out of bounds like he did in the first interception to Jack Kellogg, or do I have the team punt? Sometimes punting the football is a positive play, because the alternative is it could come back the other way on you, and
You're
that's
saying
what happens.
sometimes it's a good thing?
Sometimes it's a good thing.
You're sounding like Martha.
Well, I've been called a lot of things, buddy, but Martha's not been one of them.
Couple of yards picked up there.
You know, and on the interceptions he threw, one was just trying to make something happen to Jack Kellogg against Edmonton. The other was just a bad read to Shannon Garrett. Right now, he's doing a nice job of avoiding the rush initially and finding the open man.
On 2nd down, hit from behind, and the ball squirts loose. Not in the throwing motion, it's a loose ball. Daryl Mitchell got to Lamar McGriggs before he got to the end zone. There was a flag back at the line, however.
Well,
Tom Europe with a hit there, Glenn.
The question was, and Michael Bishop is saying it's coming back. The question was the arm moving forward when he was hit in the back? And they're discussing things now. Daryl Mitchell saved a touchdown by Lamar McGriggs. He was a good 15 yards back, and he caught Lamar.
It wasn't whistled down until the tackle was made.
That's right. That was at the end. It was a whole lot happening on.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 2. After the interception, it's still a first down.
That was after the fumble recovery, actually.
Safety blitz from Tom Europe creates all kinds of problems for the Toronto Argonauts, who are on a nice drive.
Quarterbacks are taking a beat.
Bishop takes one right on the number. Lots more ahead on Wendy's CFL Live this week, beginning Hamilton and Ottawa Thursday night. You'll be there for that one, 7 o'clock kickoff Eastern time. And then
no Jason Moss in Edmonton, BC on a roll after their big win last week.
That'll be the Friday night matchup, BC at Edmonton. Long toss, and there was no one home. Stiegel was the closest Blue Bomber receiver to the throw by Kahari Jones.
Well, let's see if Michael Bishop was in the throwing motion. Europe is going to come from this side on the safety blitz. Around goes Bishop. The ball's down by his hip. That's definitely a fumble. And then it's picked up Lamar McGriggs. Now, Daryl Mitchell, you see him come into the screen right there. He was 12 yards back when Lamar McGriggs picked up that ball, and he caught him in a hurry.
McGriggs returning it 45 yards, but subsequent penalty after the fumble was recovered leaves Winnipeg near midfield. Loose ball again. And the Bombers get on it. I thought the Argos were a little slow to react. Elowanibi comes up with it.
Johnny Scott again is really working hard here on Mo Elowanibi, and probably the reason that Elowanibi had to recover that one is because he was the guy in charge of trying to block Johnny Scott. Scott, that's the second fumble he's caused on Kahari Jones, working right on that corner on Mo Elowanibi.
So no damage done to the Argonauts after the turnover. Cameron. This is Turner. Whoa, stopped in his tracks right at the 25. 6 on the return. 1st and 10 Toronto when we return. Gary Echeverry and the Argonauts will play the Ottawa Renegades in their next home game. Thursday, August the 1st. We'll be here for that. Hope you can join us too. There's the number to call for tickets.
Well, the Argos are really working hard around the game to try and sell the product. We had the Austin Powers bobblehead night tonight.
Yeah, and you got 2 of them. How did you do that?
Well, I'm trying to, bring something
One
home
for
to
Jerry,
the kids. Yeah.
One for Alicia. What a dad.
Well,
and you're going to tell them you bought them too, right?
Oh, yeah, top dollar. Retail.
Argonauts begin at the 25. This is Juan Johnson. Has not run with terrific authority so far tonight. There's not much for him there.
David Benefield here in Winnipeg now was in the same role with Gary Echeverry with BC. And this is what he said this week about Joe Montford and how he's being used. Didn't pay $250,000 to have a guy make tackles. Is basically what he says, and then compares him to Michael Jordan in his prime passing the ball.
Michael Jordan in his prime just passing the ball.
Now
talking about Joe Montford, who is a quarterback, sacker, and attacker.
Yeah, and first of all,
it's a fumble because it didn't cross the line of scrimmage. Still loose. It kicked through the end zone. Now, I think that was whistled down at some point in that sequence.
Now, if Winnipeg kicked it out of bounds, if they kicked it, they will lose possession of the ball if they kicked it out of bounds. Now, if they batted it with their hands.
Well, they kicked it through the end zone, though, or into the end zone and out of bounds.
If you bat that ball with your hands out of bounds,
you get possession.
You get possession of the ball.
Last team to touch it.
If you kick it out of bounds, you can kick the ball, first of all. You're allowed to do that.
And then fall on it somewhere in the field.
Yes, and fall on it.
Seen a couple of wacky moments here tonight.
Well,
more.
The problem is Juan Roque thought he was a receiver for a second, and it's going to cost him. That's a fumble again. Look, you see.
Yeah, he's not a receiver.
Tried to catch it. He couldn't handle it. And now the scramble's on. Now, this is the heads-up play right here. Now, is it batted by Raphael Ball or kicked? Well, that hit his foot, it looked like to me. If it hit his foot, it should be Argo ball. If he batted it, it's the Bombers' ball. They're trying to work it out right now. We're going to take one more look to see whether or not you see Cameron. Now, did he get his foot on that, or did he get his hand on it?
Well, he touched it with his foot. Yes, twice. He got it with both feet, Glenn.
That looked like it was kicked out of bounds by Raphael Ball. If it is kicked out of bounds, that should be Argo ball.
It's a change of possession. The Bombers had an opportunity there.
Now, if they rule that he hit it with his hand, it's a different story.
I really thought that he got it with.
Well, that first look right here looks like he did kick it, but
did he? With his left foot there, and then he gets it with his right foot there, doesn't he?
Well, his hand is right beside it. It's not. I mean, our angle is so
ruling
close.
On the play.
Here we go.
Is that a Winnipeg player kicked the ball through the end zone by rule, that's a single point. It's Toronto's first down on the 35-yard line.
Yeah, see, Toronto gets
so
the possession.
Through, but the Bombers get a point.
It's kind of like a punt now. Goes through the end zone and out of bounds. Bombers get possession. But if he bats it out, that's a different story.
Winnipeg 11, Toronto 10, because Raphael Ball kicked it out through the end zone.
It's been a long time since that's ever happened in Canadian football.
It's bobblehead night.
In fact, to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, and it wasn't an intentional kick. I mean, I think he was trying to recover it. I don't think he was trying to bat it.
He tried to bat it with his hand.
Yeah, he was trying to get possession of the ball and hit it with his foot.
Well, and the fact that you mentioned it, John, the fact that it went into the end zone and out also changes things. Because if that ball is kicked out of bounds by Raphael Ball in the field of play, then it's no single and Toronto gets the ball. If it's kicked out of the end zone, now it becomes a punt. It's just like in the CFL, really, it's still in the rule book that you could drop kick. Remember drop kick in the longest yard?
Still legal.
Like you can catch the ball downfield, turn around, drop kick it through the uprights.
Through the uprights, you get 3.
How many points for that?
3.
3 points.
On a drop kick through the uprights.
You remember the longest yard? Remember the movie?
Yeah.
That was in there.
Tom Wilkinson used to practice that.
So did Ray Elgard.
Long time ago. Injury timeout here. We'll be back. Well, we've seen a couple of wacky things in the CFL so far in 2002. A single point added to the Bomber total. And here's Ron Johnson.
He was close there. Rylan Wickman saves about a 20-30 yard gain because the next guy closest to Juan Johnson was Tom Europe. Rylan Wickman, as this play goes off tackle to the left, he doesn't make this tackle. Fights off the block there of Thomas Ram. The next guy is Tom Europe, about 20 yards away.
First and 10, and this is Sean Daniels. Flag is down. 4:32 to go till halftime here at Skydome. A 1-point game with the Blue Bombers on top.
Holding. Toronto number 62. Repeat first down.
A couple of penalties have hurt the Argos, although you would think that Gary Echeverry has to be pretty happy right now with the way his team has played against a team that put over 50 on the board a week ago against Ottawa. He's now got a close game approaching halftime.
First and 20 for Michael Bishop and the Argos. Draw play to Juan Johnson, and it nets about 4 yards. Looking back to week 1, Glenn, you may recall that the Argos actually were leading in the very late stages of the opening half. It was 14-3 or somewhere at that.
Well, when they looked at the film, they felt that other than a couple of plays, including a touchdown just before the half.
Yeah, the Bombers eventually came back and took a 17-14 lead.
Yeah, just before. He said that was a big turning point in that game.
Running on 2nd and 17.
Well, this is just to sort of stop the bleeding at this point because you don't want to force it. I think the Argos are a little leery after what happened last week when Bishop tried to force the ball down the field when he shouldn't have and threw the 2 interceptions. But here's the good news. You look at Michael Bishop. He protected the football, 6 of 9. He has the 1 touchdown to Daryl Mitchell, and he's getting a little bit of a running game.
What we were talking about a little bit earlier. What Echeverry was saying, don't lose this game.
Yeah.
He's looking at 2nd and a whole bunch there. He's against a great defense.
Sure.
And if he throws it into tight coverage and gives it back to them in great field position, that can be an early problem for this football team. And you've got enough of them to deal with from the other side of the ball, including that guy, Charles Roberts. Met by Michael Fletcher on the return. 5 touchdown passes last week for for Kahari Jones. 5 in week 1 against the same Argonaut team. And those numbers are not spectacular for the league's most outstanding player from 2001.
Well, he's had the pressure on him. There have been Argos, including Johnny Scott, in that backfield for this entire half.
And he's taken a hit from Michael O'Shea. Jones to his right, throwing on the run. There's Stiegel with the catch and hanging on.
And Mumford again puts the big hit on Kahari Jones, and he's taken a bunch of them in this game.
Joe Mumford rising to the occasion in the colors of the Argonauts here tonight. Mumford on Kahari Jones. The results? Woohoo! Bombers on top by 1. Well, it's bobblehead night at Sky Dome for the Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. And the boys are ready at halftime with their thoughts on the opening half.
Well, some of the guys out here tonight so far in the first half are kind of bobbling the ball a little bit.
We've seen a little of that, including the kick for a single point that I don't think Raphael Ball knew he had scored. Zellers, the big guy, 260 pounds.
Well, again, though, when you look at what the Bombers have done this year and what they did last week, this for the Argonauts is a huge successful first half, hugely successful, I should say. And defensively, they've been in that backfield, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, most of the game. Now, Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator for the Bombers, to find a way to make them pay for sending pressure.
2nd and 6. Roberts takes a hit, but hangs on. Clifford Ivory had him lined up.
Boy, the intensity level of the CFL these last couple of weeks has just been incredible. Last week, some of the most hellacious hits I've seen in a long time, and then Clifford Ivory's done it. We saw the hit on O'Shea, Kahari Jones. You're playing offense out here right now. You're a target.
Roberts was there, but held on for an 8-yard gain. And a Winnipeg first down. And to the final 2 minutes now, the opening half. Kahari Jones, far side.
Now, you mentioned it earlier, John. This is kind of where the Argos in week 1 kind of fell asleep a little bit. Just before they went into halftime, they gave up a big play. And it cost them points and the lead going into halftime and a whole bunch of momentum, something they never recovered from. So there's only a minute 42 left, but it's an important minute 42 for this defense.
Marcus Howell is halfway to a first down. He's been an active receiver for Kahari Jones tonight. Cross midfield, just inside the 50. Here's Charles Roberts turning the corner, not this time. Mike O'Shea,
it's
stretched
amazing.
it out.
It's amazing what a big hit in a game can do to you. We saw the big hit, O'Shea hitting Kahari Jones. He throws an interception the very next play. Then Clifford Ivory hits Charles Roberts. In the very next play, he's a little tentative to run up in that hole, goes back out to the sideline and is caught by O'Shea.
They just stretched him right out that time.
Sometimes a big hit can take just a split second out of your step.
Particularly 2 plays later.
That's right.
What's 99 for the safety?
Cameron to kick. This is Turner standing back at his own 10. One hop and really no play on it. However, he got a no yards penalty. Nothing on the return, but they'll tack a little on after that. Just over a minute to go in the first half. Wonder if Dunnigan or Schultz remembers a point being scored quite the way we saw Raphael Ball put the Bombers into the lead here. A little rugby there, a little soccer.
Well, it's a good idea to kick the ball ahead if you're scrambling for it, as long as it stays in bounds.
Another flag down on the carry by Juan Johnson.
Well, Juan Johnson is slow to get up. Charles Roberts was, you can tell he's hurt. Charles Roberts was kind of sore on the sideline. And the hitting is just...
Johnson is just coming off the injury list. He played in the preseason.
Major foul, face mask, Winnipeg number 90, first down.
So that's Denny Fortney.
We're going to take a look at Juan Johnson's left knee. Take one more look to see the face mask call on Denny Fortney. Johnson just going to go to the right. Jab step, excuse me, to the left side of Kahari Jones. Inoki Brechterfield maybe fell on the knee a little bit. Maybe when he twisted around backwards.
The face mask didn't create the injury. I think it was after that. You know, you have to wonder about Juan Johnson, who had some injury problems after a great run in BC in 1998. Bounced around the National Football League a little bit. Came here for a shot with the Argos this year.
Well, yeah,
ended up injured in the preseason. And you worry about a guy who's been injured that often and whether or not he's going to get the opportunity to have a long career.
Well, he felt like he was healthy coming in tonight. He's taken that 4 weeks off. And it's funny when you talk about him going down to the National Football League. Actually, when Bob Ackles, who is now in Vancouver, was in Miami, he actually took Juan Johnson from the Lions at that time.
So still being 10-2 out there. Gary Echeverria looks on. David Benefield playing a role in this Blue Bomber defense. He's on off the record with Michael Landsberg. And David's never at a loss for words.
No, he will be ready for that.
So that's coming up Thursday.
That is absolutely the perfect show for David Benefield.
Well, the only problem with it is it's not an hour.
Yeah,
it's
he
only
needs
the
more
half
time.
hour,
Yeah, he needs to stretch that a little bit, but he has lots to say. We've already seen one quote with regards to Joe Mumford and him working with Gary Echeverria as Juan Johnson limps off the field.
Well, from the Bomber bench, Charles Roberts was shaken up a little bit. He was being 10-2 down there, but apparently he's okay and ready to return when the Bomber offense gets back on the field or special teams.
But that does not look good for Juan Johnson at this point. Not able to put full weight on the knee. It's one thing to limp when you're walking off on your own. It's another to have help and still be limping.
So they'll go to the other Johnson, and this isn't bad at all. Jeff Johnson gets his first carry of the night in relief. The ex-Hamilton Tiger Cat turns it into a first down for the Argonauts.
Well, here's the good news with the running game. We haven't seen Juan Johnson really break anything. Jeff Johnson there, he picks up pretty good yardage. 12 yards, as a matter of fact. Juan Johnson had 40. That's 52 yards. Remember, this is a Winnipeg defense that coming into this game was giving up an average of just under 47 yards per game.
So here's Jeff Johnson again. And not quite as successful this time. Talked about Echeverria suggesting that he wanted his young quarterback to not put his team in a position to lose. Is that why they're keeping it on the ground here with about a minute to go now, 47 seconds to go?
Yeah, I mean, you got the good run by Jeff Johnson. You're going to run on first down again, and I don't think they're conceding anything. They still have 3 or 4 plays to get into field goal range.
On second down, in the air this time, and Daryl Mitchell is fitting into this offensive scheme rather well tonight, is he not?
But just to finish your thought, John, you know, you talked about not losing the game. That play to Mitchell now puts you in position for the field goal. It's not necessarily even playing conservative.
Couple of runs, then he put it up for the first down. He'll put it up again. Bishop. Nice pass and a great fake.
Well, the fake took the safety.
And the first catch of the night for Chad Plummer.
The fake took the safety, Tom Europe. Watch Tom Europe in the middle of the screen. He's a free safety now. His job is to go right down the middle. See that look in the fake? See Tom Europe bail out to that side of the field? That's just Michael Bishop taking his game to the next level. Hey, it's everything for a quarterback to be able to take it into the game and just say, okay, I got to look at my receiver and throw to him. It's another step to look away from your intended target, pump fake to that side, and then go back to your target and feel confident enough to be able to complete that pass. That's just showing that Michael Bishop is developing. He's better now than he was a game ago.
Back-to-back plays for nice yardage, 19 plus 33 on the catch by Chad Plummer. So much for the conservative style, but maybe the Bombers went for that a little bit, that they're keeping it on the ground.
And now Bishop has one crack to the end zone, maybe even two if this is a quick hitter, before he has to line up for a field goal. Now, he does need to be a little bit careful with the football, though.
15 seconds on the clock unofficially here. Bishop looking deep, and a little miscommunication there. It took 5 seconds.
Well, it was Michael Bishop being rushed by the blitz. Because if he has time, he can see Daryl Mitchell down the field adjusting. But look at the pressure coming from the backside, Harold Nash. When you don't have much more than about 2 seconds to get rid of the ball. See, he sees this adjustment right there to Mitchell, but now the ball's already gone. He had to get rid of it because the pressure was coming.
10 seconds to go. One more crack at the end zone for Michael Bishop. Jeff Johnson got the ball. And they'll settle for a field goal try. Doug Brown was there and waiting, and when Brown at 6'7", 302 wraps you up, you're not going very far.
Well, the crowd wanted a little more aggressive play from the Argos in that situation, maybe a throw to the end zone. But to go in at halftime against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers,
even with a 2-point advantage, if this field goal is good.
Even with the 2-point advantage is a big lift for your ball club.
Prefontaine puts it into the restaurant. Right into windows there. Final play of the opening half, and we saw a little bit of everything there, didn't we?
Fumbles, hits, touchdowns, all there.
Argos on top by 2.
At the half, brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Bacon Mushroom Melt is back for a limited time. Wendy's, it's better here.
And welcome back to our CFL Live studios. Dave Randorf with you, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, Jock Climby. And you know, if you're ever looking for some wacky late-night reading, pick yourself up a copy of the CFL rulebook. It doesn't take that long. And I bet you it won't be long before you're reading some of these rules and you'll go, yeah, like that'll ever happen. But tonight we see a single as a ball is kicked through the end zone, and that was the difference up until the Argos get the late field goal by Noel Prefontaine. Schulte, what have you seen?
Well, David, I was just about to sing the praises of the Toronto Argonauts, how great Michael Bishop is playing, how the defense has improved, but why would you run the football to set up a field goal in the half before the second half and not take a shot in the end zone to get 7 points? Now, correct me, guys, 7 points is much more valuable than 3 points, and that field goal, he only gained 2 yards. It was the same distance. So as good as that first half was, that last play call really confuses me, Matty.
Well, they're just trying to put some points on the board. Outstanding drive by the young quarterback, and they're going to need to put themselves in more situations like you saw in that drive. Second and short, not putting too much pressure on Michael Bishop. But here's a situation where they do put him in second and long by great run defense by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Here you see them just stuffing the hole right there. Brian Clark, Lamar McGriggs, and Fortney just stuffing the ball right there. Puts him in second and long, and what happens? Europe comes off the edge, creates this fumble. And then Mookie Mitchell, hats off to you, Mookie. You said you're going to do the little things that makes the difference in a winner. And you run down Lamar McGriggs here. That's outstanding play. That'll carry over, Jock, to this football team, because when you got a veteran like that doing the little things, not catching touchdown passes, although he did have one, running down Lamar McGriggs in that situation may not go down in the stat book, but that's a hustle play that could make the difference.
And believe me, everyone will be watching that play in film study tomorrow. Now, I also want to have a look at that same play that Matty just looked at, but I'd like to have a look at it from Toronto's perspective. I think they could have done some things here to help themselves. First of all, Michael Bishop under center. He's got to realize he's got 6 blockers against Winnipeg's 7. That's 7 guys, which means one guy is coming free. He's got to know that and get rid of the ball quickly. Second thing, play action. Why are they play actioning on 2nd and 8? It does 2 things. First of all, it's not fooling anybody. at all. And the second thing is, look at the quarterback's eyes. Instead of being down the field the whole time, his eyes are pointed backwards. This prevents him from seeing the rush, and that results in the fumble. I think that Toronto's offensive coordinators can do their quarterback a favor by helping him out and calling just straight pass plays on 2nd and long, Dave.
But the bottom line for the Argos is that turnover led to no points. And this first half has got to be seen as a huge success for the Argonauts at home to the mighty Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is 13-11. And, well, will you look at it? We saw Austin Powers earlier. Dr. Evil is there, Mini-Me. Everybody's having a big old party at Sky Dome tonight. Back with plenty more. You're watching Wendy's CFL Live. We have 4 games for you this week on TSN. Our next game will be Thursday night. Darren Flutie and the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be at Frank Clair Stadium to take on the Ottawa Renegades, 2 teams coming off of losses. That's Thursday beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we don't want to take anything away from the Argos here. They're full value for their 2-point lead in the first half. But I think a few Bombers fans out there were expecting a little bit more from their team. Jock?
Well, I think probably people at home are quite surprised on how you guys feel, but Kahari Jones just doesn't look as set himself tonight.
No.
And I'm wondering if that big hit might have affected him. Earlier on, Mike O'Shea caught him good under the chin. And Matt, obviously you played the position. I don't know how that affects you as a quarterback in your psyche. But
well, you're looking for Michael O'Shea again and again, Jock. I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's just outstanding. You're looking at him coming off the edge here, and it's like, hi-ya! I mean, hell, you're going to think about it.
It has to.
Yeah, sure.
It has to. You're a human being.
You're right. And in a situation where both teams, whether it's Michael Bishop or whether it's Kahari Jones, both quarterbacks need to put their team in second and short situations because the defense is getting the upper hand and dictating the flow of the game to these guys when it's 2nd and long.
Well, the thing I noticed about Kahari, he seems frustrated. He seems out of rhythm in his own kind of world as a quarterback. I rarely see the guy step up and not be able to get rid of the football on timing. We've seen that twice when he gave up 2 fumbles. So for me, one of the issues of the game, the big issues, is Kahari Jones looks frustrated and he looks out of sync.
Again, Chris, that's on 2nd and long.
Yeah.
And talking to him today on the phone, he says we've been concentrating all week long on having good first down production, and that's gotten them in trouble. And hats off to Toronto because Gary Echeverry's defense is confusing Kahari a little bit and shutting him down on 1st and 10.
Well, it's always the Echeverry defense. That's what it's designed to do, is confuse you. I just thought at the outset it looked like the defense was sitting back and Kahari was getting in a rhythm which he hasn't been able to reestablish. He was just taking 3 steps and hitting a hitch pass or hitting a swing pass, and that was getting him in a flow, and then he took that hit
and that's
it
what
to change
changed everything. Yeah. That's exactly what changed everything. And on the other side, can Michael Bishop throw a football?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. He has physical skills as a quarterback that, if you watch it closely, that are really something special. He's got great strength. He's got nice touch. He's got a good future. Just avoid the mistakes.
But I'm amazed at the way he can throw off his back foot time and time again. He's rolling out. You think he's just going to throw it away, and all of a sudden he zips it in there. It's great.
One thing we'll have to watch for in the third quarter is how Winnipeg reacts. They have dominated third quarter play this season, outscoring the opposition 45-8. They make adjustments and they make you pay. If you want to get out and see some CFL action this season, here are the numbers to call in your nearest CFL city. Back with more after this. Here are the halftime numbers. They're brought to you by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well-made, well-priced, well-dressed, Schulte.
Well, pretty even in terms of the statistics, but what is not shown on that screen is that Toronto has given Winnipeg 4 first downs by penalty in a lot of ways. That's why this game is so close. This was a good half by the Toronto Argonauts.
It's a 2-point lead for Gary Echeverry's Argos. He spoke with our John Liu.
Coach, sort of a bizarre first half, but you got the lead against one of the best teams in the league. Got to feel pretty good, huh?
Well, we enjoy scoring at the end. We would have preferred 7 instead of 3, but we'll take it. And I like what I'm seeing for the most part.
You got Juan Johnson back this game, and it looks like he might be gone. It's a little bit early, but can you give us an idea of what exactly might be his status or his likelihood of returning?
We absolutely do not know. It's his left knee. That's all we know, and they're not sure what it is at all.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we are being Austin-powered out, but they're having a good time at Sky Dome. I don't know what. Oh, my goodness. A chop block right there.
Well, partner, we've got a game at Sky Dome tonight.
Well, and that may be a surprise to some people with what Winnipeg has done this year to a lot of teams.
Let's bring in John Liu.
Coach Kahari Jones has felt an awful lot of pressure in the pocket. What can be done to try to take some of the heat off him this half?
Well, I hope to hit the right guys, and when they bring all those people up there, he's got things that he can do against it, and we'll continue to try to do it. But you know, we've had a couple weird calls in this game, Edge, so we didn't come out the beneficiary of either one of them. So we got to play through all of that and try to get things done.
Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Dave Ritchie sounds a little shell-shocked.
Well, he's probably worried about his quarterback getting hit like he did in the first half.
Second half is underway. This is Charles Roberts taking a dribbler. Looking for room down the near side. He's tough to bring down and finally lost a couple that he'd already gained. Kevin Eben leading the Argonaut tacklers there. So Kahari Jones took a pretty good hit from Mike O'Shea. It might have affected him, only 99 yards passing.
Yeah, and coming into this game after 4 weeks, he was averaging about 150 per half. So in the first half, he's below that by about 50 yards.
The numbers on Bishop a little bit better. He's hanging in against Kahari Jones and the Blue Bombers. Charles Roberts on first down. Stretched out. He'll turn it into a first down. And it didn't look like there was a whole bunch there.
But it shows his speed. He outran the angles of the Toronto Argonaut tacklers. The good news for Winnipeg fans is that he's back. Remember, he was hit by Clifford Ivory in the first half and was knocked out of the game. He's going to take this sweep, and a lot of guys aren't going to be able to, when he goes out to the outside, a lot of defensive angles here that he simply outruns. Lead block by Mike Sellers getting around the corner.
Johnny Scott got over to force him out. The gain is 10. First down, Winnipeg. Nice play action by Kahari Jones, and he threw behind the intended receiver.
Well, this is the toughest pass pattern to cover if you're a defensive back, especially an inside guy. And you see him right here and how much ground he makes up on Milt Stegall as he closes that distance with the ball in the air. Now, yeah, you're right, John. The ball was a little bit behind him, but that's pretty good closing speed from Antonius Bonner.
Stegall was the target. Second and 10. Jones from the shotgun. Stegall got this one. And it was pretty tight coverage from Michael Fletcher on top of it.
Well, what's surprising to me is that Michael Fletcher didn't take the hit, because 9 times out of 10, number 2 is just going to put his helmet between the 8 and the 5 and try and knock the ball out that way. This time, I think he thought he had a shot at the ball. See how he came around to the right side of Milt Stegall? He thought he had a shot at the ball, then just missed it. And he just says, try that one more time.
21-yard gain. Stoddard to the near side. Kahari Jones on the run. Nice catch, one-handed. Sellers will score. Incredible, 45 yards for Mike Sellers, and it looked like the Argo defense was confused, waiting for someone to put the tackle on him. I thought he should have been stopped in his tracks.
Well, there was one Argo defender who tried to put the tackle on him, but Mike Sellers, who is right here and is just going to slip through and get out in the flat as Kahari Jones fakes it here to Charles Robertson, turns around. You see Sellers slip on the flap. Now, first of all, he makes the one-hand catch. Makes that look pretty easy. Now, here's Clifford Ivory saying, there's no way I'm going to try and take you high.
And Montford missed him twice. A 45-yard touchdown. Mike Sellers on the receiving end. He made it all happen. Bombers have the lead again. Well, it's a night like that here, isn't it? Lots of incredible plays and nothing more exciting than this one.
Show you one more time where he comes from. Slides right through in the play action. No one picks him up. Mumford tries to catch him but can't. Now Clifford Ivory has no chance there. He's just trying to trip him. Mumford missed him there. Look at that block right at the top by Jamie Stoddard on Adrian Smith. That's why Sellers can score.
It's a 45-yard touchdown, a reverse on the return. And Johnson handing off to Turner. Turner never made a yard after that.
Well, that's tough for Clifford Ivory. You know, in fairness to Clifford Ivory, when Sellers at 260s coming around the corner, I mean, really, you have two choices. You can throw your body in there and may not get parts of it back, and possibly a very likely get run right over. Or you can try and cut the knees out of the big man and hope that he tumbles over top of you. And Sellers is such a great athlete, that's the risk. He can jump over you.
We'll see how the Argos respond now. Jeff Johnson in place of Juan Johnson, who was injured in the opening half. And Ryland Wickman was there.
I talked to a couple of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers about why they're so good against the run. Talked to Benefield, talked to a lot of the guys on defense. And you know what he said? He said, it's nothing fancy, it's about attitude. And those three linebackers behind us, boy, they have the attitude that they're not going to give up an inch, let alone a yard.
Jeff Johnson again. Well, it's a personal affront to this Bomber front seven to allow anybody with 100 yards rushing against them in a game. And they take it very personally if a running back tries to get near that total by himself.
When you look at what they've given up, look at that. 265 yards ahead of the BC Lions in second place in yards given up along the ground, averaging about 47 yards per game, actually 46.8 coming in. Now, so far, they're a little bit over their average at 66, but it looks like to me right now they're starting to turn up the dial a little bit.
Well, it's 2-0 for the Argos here, third down in a Prefontaine punting situation. Sails this one deep all the way back to the 35. Marv Coleman, Rectorfield is there, and he had a little help from Mike Fletcher, who's playing quite a game tonight. It's Kahari's turn again when we return. Little doubt that Michael O'Shea is the heart and soul of this Toronto Argonaut defense.
Well, the reason right now that this is a close game is probably because of this hit.
That hit created a turnover when the Bombers were in scoring range, and O'Shea is right in the middle of things with the interception.
Big yardage. Actually pitched that one back to his teammate Kendrick Golston.
Here are the Bombers in possession again. Oh my gosh! He's gone again. One-handed touchdown catch for Milt Stegall. It covers 66 yards. And the almost father-to-be, Kahari Jones, doesn't quite believe that one-hander.
Well, it's a simple rule. If that safety is gone, Milt Stegall's going there. And Kahari thought he led him just a bit too far. See, look at Michael Fletcher sneak over here and mess around. Too close to the line of scrimmage. And then watch Stegall get in behind him. And then the one-hander. That is as good as it gets, folks.
Got one hand on it, brought it in.
The old theory from receivers, if you can touch it, you can catch it. That's pretty much the way Milt Stegall does it.
Kahari Jones and Milt Stegall have been an awesome combination, and it's proven again here tonight. 66-yard catch for the touchdown.
Well, I think it's worth another little peek, and you don't see many of these. This is the one-hander down the seam. Those are the ones you dream of in the, you're in the playground as a kid and you're throwing the ball around and you practice that and do it in pro football for a touchdown. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he had one earlier too. This is also pretty, but that was more the quarterback putting it right on the money, was it not?
And he used two hands there. So
yeah,
now he's set the bar even higher. Now that one looked like an easy one.
It's hardly for the highlight reel when you make a two-handed catch.
Oh, what a player. I mean, Milt Stegall, 45-yard touchdown, 66-yard touchdown. He came into the league #1 in the CFL in receiving. Keeps adding to that total. Remember, we said coming in that he was on pace to break the record for yards in a single season, which is really incredible.
So Stiegel has a couple from Kahari tonight.
Well, it's early, John, but he is still on pace right now, and it looks like he's sticking with that pace for a 2,052-yard season, which would make him first Canadian football for receiving yards in 1 year.
456 yards in the first 4 games.
Daryl Mitchell, who's on the other sideline, another great receiver who struggled with a young quarterback, he also had a 2,000-yard year. So Stiegel is on pace for a biggie. Now Mitchell's been back in the fold a little bit here tonight, which is good news for Argo fans, but they need him now.
Well, the Argos are all of a sudden in a deep hole here. And they haven't aired it out much in the second half at all.
Juan Johnson now is not back in this game. That's Jeff Johnson, and now you can just it's kind of like sharks in the water when you get a paper cut. And that's what this Winnipeg defense is doing now, especially the front 7. Right now they're a school of sharks, and the Toronto Argonauts just got a paper cut.
Still no word on the injury to Juan Johnson. He had a knee problem, and that kept him out of the first 4 weeks of the season. And he left the service here with another knee problem. A little swing pass, Mitchell has it. But Harold Nash read it well.
See, John,
there's a 1-yard gain.
This is nothing more than a glorified running play to get the ball out to Daryl Mitchell. And this is what we talk about with the run. Yeah, we've talked a lot about the front 7, but the secondary take responsibility in this run defense as well. And in that little glorified running play, which is just a little pass out there to Daryl Mitchell, Harold Nash flies over there, and it's a big part of the tackle, and he's helping out the big boys up front.
So the Argos had the lead coming into the second half. It was a narrow 2-point advantage. The Bombers have responded with 2 touchdowns here in the second half. Mike Sellers and Milt Stiegel. And it's 25-13. A little more heat on Prefontaine. He got it away, and flags are down as Fletcher was well within that 5-yard area.
Yeah, Fletcher lost track of the football, and that one was caught by Marvin Coleman, so that'll be not the 5-yard penalty, the longer version.
Kahari Jones all smiles after a solid second half so far, and there's a long way to go. Kahari Jones on pace for a whole pile of touchdowns this season, adding 3 more tonight. Argo's next home game against Ottawa. We'll be here for that. There's the number to call.
We talked about that pace that he is on coming in. Now he's played 4.5 games, and now he's on pace for 68 touchdowns, which would be 20 more.
Then that guy,
Mr. Yeah, I remember a little bit.
He was here in '94.
I remember a little bit about that guy. Down in San Diego with the Chargers still. Doug Flutie is in a bit of a fight this year for his starting job in San Diego with Drew Brees. So I'd put my money on Flutie. A little more experience. Whenever someone challenges him, he rises to the challenge.
Charles Roberts, one of the many Blue Bomber weapons, took a hit there from Adrian Smith. But you know, when you say that, and you've got Flutie in your lineup, and you got Brees coming in with credentials and all of that, they say there won't be a quarterbacking controversy in San Diego.
Yeah.
But, you know, when Flutie's around, somehow it happens.
Also, Dave Dickinson, the former Stampeder, is in San Diego as well, so that adds to the mix.
How about the other former Stampeder? Jeff Garcia getting rave reviews and making headlines everywhere as being touted as an MVP down there. Here's Roberts, takes the catch. O'Shea couldn't bring him down, and that's the problem for the Argonauts. O'Shea had a shot.
Well, John, Jeff Garcia into the Pro Bowl, the National Football League.
Well, he's on the cover of a lot of football magazines down there.
Flutie has been to the Pro Bowl, and it's just another example of how good the talent is that you're watching here in Canadian football as well. I mean, the question could be, could Kahari Jones play in the National Football League? Well, of course he could, given the right opportunity. And he looked at that in the offseason this year, and he got the number he wanted on the contract in Winnipeg. And I think at the end of the day, he prefers to be here because he thinks his team is really building a dynasty.
Bombers are 1st and 10, threatening. Again, there's a fumble opportunity for the Argos. Who's got it this time? And that could be a key for the Argonauts to get back into this at 25-13. I mean, it's a 12-point game, but the second half has been completely dominated by the guys in blue and gold.
Kahari Jones is going to tell you this is his fault because Charles Roberts has to hit this hole on the outside, and Kahari Jones has to turn around and get it out there to him, and he can't quite. He has to get that ball out and put it right in the breadbasket of Charles Roberts, but when he pivoted out of there, it's basically a reverse pivot to get the quarterback turned around and out of there. He just didn't get around far enough and didn't get the ball to him.
So let's see what the Argonauts can do on the recovery by Roger Dunbrack. 5 receiver set. And Jeff Johnson got the call again. This does not excite Argonaut fans, just because they would really like to see the Argos move the ball, and usually when you're down by this many, you move it through the air.
Well, Gary Echeverria has lost one weapon in Juan Johnson and is deciding to stick with running the football this time to Jeff Johnson. And the fans here aren't very happy about it.
Last 4 plays have been on the ground to Jeff Johnson. Here's Talbot making the catch. Stopped by Marvin Coleman, and Andre Talbot will have a first down. Slant over the middle. That's 10 yards. They'll make it 11.
Well, one of the reasons that Echeverria may want Bishop to throw a little bit more is Mustafa Muhammad, starting halfback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has not returned to the game in the second half. They're going with Byron Capers out there, backup, and Dave Donaldson is the extra defensive back.
Bishop puts it up, right on the money for Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell is down inside the 40-yard line.
Hey, you want to talk about traffic. Daryl Mitchell catches this ball. Looks like it's rush hour on the QEW. Because look at all the people around him when he tries to find this ball. He turns around. There's Harold Nash. There's about 4 in front of him. There's another one. Brian Clark. Dave Donaldson was right there. Somehow he grabbed the ball and slipped through the seam.
Finally, Byron Capers got over to make the tackle. Mitchell having his best night of the year. Here's Johnson again along the ground. Turns it to the outside.
Well, the fans aren't booing Jeff Johnson. They're just booing the decision to run the ball when you got a red-hot Daryl Mitchell who's now back in the fold, finally. Because he certainly was a forgotten man in this offense so far this year.
Coming in just 6 receptions for 80 yards. Last year, Daryl Mitchell had 76 for over 1,300.
But, John, this game is still close enough. You can't throw every down. You certainly cannot do that. See Michael Bishop check his wristband. He looked at the left wristband, and he said, wait a minute. The play that I just called
is not going to work.
Does not match the defense that I'm seeing in front of me. So they go and reevaluate that one. Head coach Bill Dobson will talk to the young quarterback. See, this is the one I called right down there at the bottom. And that one right beside it, it says has to be in this certain defense. The defense they had over there wasn't that defense. Now they've used their timeout in the second half. You only get 1 per half.
This is game 1 of week 5. Here's what's ahead. Wendy's CFL Live, Hamilton and Ottawa. Renegades home of the Ticats. Wendy's Friday Night Football. The Lions, after a big win, meeting the Eskimos.
And how about the way we wrap up this
Winnipeg
week
and Montreal
in the CFL? Boy, 3-1, 4-0.
Bishop looks deep. There's Mitchell waiting for it. Solid defensive play by Dave Donaldson. who got over at the last possible second, and that one hung up there a little bit, didn't it?
That's all it was. Michael Bishop just put a little too much air on this ball because watch how open Daryl Mitchell gets. Now, Gary Echeverry said coming in that Mitchell has not been getting open in man. Well, guess what? He's open now, folks. He's been open all this game. And that ball, you see how long he had to wait for it? Then he had to put the brakes on and come back. That gave Dave Donaldson a chance.
Dave Donaldson in relief in that Blue Bombers secondary. Really the 7th defensive back for the Bombers, and in there because of injury. Made a nice play there. Out of Prefontaine's range, they feel. So he'll try and angle it to the far side.
Oh, he did it again.
It's a beauty. This isn't quite as good as the last one, Glenn.
Oh, my goodness.
It's out on the 1 instead of the half-yard line. He's a terrific player. Noel Prefontaine. How good is this? Noel Prefontaine puts the Bombers at the 1-yard line. Then again, Kahari Jones has Milt Stegall. They may not be there for long. Montford got through, and he's got his quarterback. Joe Montford. Not many sacks this year, but he makes the play there for the Toronto Argonauts.
I'm thinking they cut him loose here to go after the quarterback. But I'm going to show you two guys. Here's Joe Mumford, and look at Charles Roberts. Now you tell me if it's not up to Charles Roberts here to step back and pick up Joe Mumford. Oh, I missed him.
Now a 10-point game. Joe Montford gets the safety.
Here's Montford. Roberts has got to step and then seal the backside. Watch what happens. Montford off the edge. Roberts steps. Look at the backside and didn't get there in time. Even if he does, that's some kind of matchup. Little Charles Roberts against Joe Montford. He may have sacked both of them.
So something to smile about for Montford. That's his second. He was,
well, John,
in a bit of a drought when you looked at the figures from last year as a Hamilton Tiger Cat. 19 and 97 career sacks coming into this game.
But John, that play and the safety and the 2 points, and now they get the ball back, is set up by a great punt from Noel Prefontaine.
Absolutely, right to the 1-yard line. But a 10-point game, and that changes a lot of things too when you look at the scoreboard.
Well, it's one of the few situations in the rare occasions when a punter becomes a real offensive player for you.
Jeff Johnson's return out near the 30-yard line. The emergence of Daryl Mitchell has really made things a little bit different for the Argonauts tonight. Not that we were not expecting this one of these days, but coming in, the number of catches was really well down.
Well, you can tell that we've talked about it a couple times with these Argos. You can tell that so is the coaching staff here in Toronto. 87's a pretty good player. Maybe we should look for him a little more often.
3 receivers to the near side. Bishop keeps it on the ground for Jeff Johnson. So you've got Johnson and Johnson in your backfield. And one Johnson goes down, so you go to the other Jay Johnson. Jeff, and you don't have quite the dynamic running ability, although Jeff Johnson did break one for a nice little run tonight.
Well, Sam Zanders has been their starting tailback before the return of Juan Johnson. So this takes him right to their backup guy.
Andre Talbot to the near side. Bishop gets it away, looking down the far side, and he missed his target.
Well, Nigel Williams didn't even, I don't think he saw the ball till the very last second. He's going down that sideline, and he really doesn't make any adjustment to come back to it. He just lost it in the lights or didn't see it come down until it bounced off the turf.
And Bishop hasn't gone in his direction much tonight at all. In fact, I think that's the first time he's aimed it at Nigel Williams.
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that Noel Prefontaine won't be able to punt this one out at the 1, although he has hit some big ones in his time.
Marvin Coleman for the Bombers from the 30. And the veteran still gets the job done on kick returns. out across the 40 for a 13-yard return. Stiegel, a hot night, and here's what he might be able to accomplish.
Well, now he's played almost 4 games and 3 quarters, and he goes from averaging or on pace for 2,052 yards to on pace for 2,276 yards. It just keeps getting better for Milt Stiegel in this offense in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Another 100-plus yard game for 85.
Bombers beginning at the 42, and they begin with Charles Roberts, who's grabbed by 4 Argos before he's brought down. Dunbrack got there, got a hand on him, slowed him down, spun him around, but it took 4 Argos to bring him down for an 8-yard loss.
Roger Dunbrack gets the penetration. He's the guy who gets things started. You see him pushing forward. That closes the hole for Charles Roberts, and then it's just a matter of who can corral him.
Neal missed.
Chuck Walsh got a hand on his shoulder pad. It looked like it could have been close to face masking, but it wasn't.
He is slippery, no question about that. Loss of 8. 5 receivers set. Roberts again.
Look at Mumford. Oh, man.
Mumford got him that time.
Yeah, that's amazing. See, Joe Mumford's pass rushing and makes the tackle out on the numbers. Show you the quickness of Joe Mumford. He goes after Kahari Jones working on Mo Elowanibi. He's going to come off the edge right here. That's the guy he's going to go one-on-one with. Mo Elowanibi. Here he comes off the edge, makes contact on Elowanibi. Now the ball's thrown. One move by Charles Robinson, look at 53, run him down. That's great second effort from Joe Mumford.
Montford has a sack tonight, resulting in a 2-point safety. And now the Bombers are in deep trouble here. Cameron gets it away. Turner awaits. He's to the 45 and across to about the 47-yard line. When we're done here, and we've got a while to go at Skydome tonight, Sports Center comes your way with Darren Detition, Dan Pollard. All the highlights of a busy day in sports coming your way. Sports Center when we wrap it up here.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 40, first down.
That was a late flag, and Dave Ritchie thinks it's a terrible call.
Jason Condon getting the call. Special teams player, does some snapping.
Long snapper for the Bombers.
Yeah. Dave Ritchie is not happy at all.
So the Argos are quickly out inside Winnipeg territory at the 49. Bishop back in a hurry. Has this one picked up. Lamar McGriggs heading to the end zone. The quarterback brings him down.
Well, I think Michael Bishop just underestimated the speed of Lamar McGriggs. Because it's going to be crossing patterns. There's Lamar McGriggs now. When he gets into his drop, he's going to see Daryl Mitchell flash in front of him, and he's going to stick to the second crosser. Here comes the second crosser to the other side. It's Mike Morreale. And I'm not sure if Michael Bishop just didn't underestimate the speed of Lamar McGriggs to close some ground. If Bishop waits long enough, Daryl Mitchell opens up on the opposite side of the field and is gone. And I'm surprised he's not locked in a little more to Daryl Mitchell.
35 yards on the return. And the Bombers are set up in scoring range again. Charles Roberts slowed down by the first tackler and then stopped by Dunbrack as
Dunbrack's starting to pick his game up as well, starting to make a couple plays. We've seen him in the backfield twice in the last 2 Winnipeg series, but you can see they're also breathing pretty hard. Those quick turnovers by the Argos offensively, that defense on the field.
Dunbrack's a very steady performer and underrated when you you look at some of the other stars along that defensive front for Toronto. The loss of a couple. Kahari Jones, touchdown Winnipeg. Antonio Brown, a 32-yard reception. So Stiegel has a couple. Kahari now has 4 touchdown tosses tonight.
Yeah, and give Milt Stiegel the assist here, because Michael Fletcher is in a terrible bind at the safety position. He's got number 85 that crosses his face. You're going to see right up in this corner up here when we start rolling this, Michael Fletcher. See number 2? See that right there? He's got Milt Stiegel coming across his face and Antonio Brown down the seam behind him.
Bombers can strike very quickly, as we've witnessed here tonight in the second half in particular.
Well,
Antonio Brown had a touchdown in week 1 against the Argonauts.
Once again, once you put this much pressure on a guy in the game that Milt Stiegel's had, see, Neal tries to get a hand on him. Because he doesn't, that influences Michael Fletcher. If Chris Neal stops Milt Stiegel, just going to get you to hold it here right there, guys. See, there's the influence right there that Milt Stiegel has on Michael Fletcher, and that's why Antonio Brown is open behind him.
Nice ball, wasn't it?
Now he's got him behind, and between the two of them both going deep, that's pick your poison.
So Stiegel with a couple, and his running mate Antonio Brown right there has his second touchdown reception of the season, a 45-yarder in week 1. So the Bombers have opened a 32-15 lead. Johnson on a reverse to Turner, dropped at the 31.
Just made a tackle there.
Marcellus Turner.
Wayne Weathers just made a tackle without his helmet on. I think it's safe to say football players are a different breed.
Yes, I would say that that's a fairly safe conclusion.
Tackling with no helmet.
1 quarter to go here in Toronto.
The Bombers strike for 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. They lead 32-15. Kahari Jones now has 18 touchdown passes on the season. 9 of them have come at the expense of the Argos, and this game isn't even over yet, Jock.
Indeed. Well, you know, I can't resist. I have to look at my boy Milt Stiegel here, make a sensational catch. But I also want to point out Kahari Jones. You know I made it in the pros when I watched quarterbacks making these types of throws. We're going to see Kahari Jones drop back. Stiegel's not even in the frame yet. Watch him here pumping. Stiegel is barely in your frame to the left. He's going to lead him a good 12 yards across the open middle of the field before Stiegel makes a great one-handed catch. That, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely difficult to do. You have to have faith that your receiver has got the speed to get there, and you have to know the defense well. Toronto was in a cover 0 defense, and they exploited it, Matty.
Jock, let's quickly take a look at Joe Mumford in the pros and cons. I'm going to show you a con first in the scheme of Gary Echeverry's defense. And here's Joe Mumford. He's out here, and here's Chris Neal. You're going to bring Sellers across the formation here, and Winnipeg jumps out early in the second half with a nice passing play. But Joe Mumford's in space. That's not the way that you use Joe Mumford, and he's in a trail position there, and Sellers takes it all the way. But then again, we see Joe Mumford coming off the edge, number 53. Nice job here. This is what we're used to seeing. Joe in space, coming and sacking quarterbacks. And then here's a great effort. This is vintage Joe Mumford coming off the edge, sees the ball, and then pursues. Never give up, kids. Joe Mumford just takes a slap at it, runs down a very quick running back in Charles Roberts, the pros and cons and how to use a Joe.
And on the negative side, I just don't get it with the Toronto Argonauts. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers get a touchdown, so they have all the momentum. And how does Toronto try to get that momentum back? They run Jeff Johnson in between the tackles on consecutive plays. You have a 65-yard field. You are playing against the #1 defense. I don't get it why you want to run this twice in a row. All it does is set up some poor situations for the Argonauts.
It was a 2-point lead for the Argos at the half. It's now a 17-point deficit as the Bombers are in control.
Ready to begin the fourth quarter with the Argonauts trailing the Blue Bombers 32-15. Michael Bishop has his hands on the ball one more time, and it's tough to run against this Blue Bomber defense when you've got your quick and number one backs in the lineup. I mean, Sean Daniels is a blocking back, and the injury to Juan Johnson has made a bit of a difference without question.
99 yards passing in the first half for Winnipeg. In one more quarter, it just ballooned to 267.
Well, Kahari Jones has thrown for 3 touchdowns in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's when you have those kind of weapons in your arsenal. It can happen that quickly.
Bishop won't get it away, wrapped up as David Benefield celebrates another sack.
Well, the play, and this is just bad timing for the Argos because the play designed to go a little hitch pass to Talbot, this side is right where the blitz is coming from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. If they go the opposite way, they got a chance. But you see Benefield, and there's Dave Donaldson. So the secondary blitz coming from the exact same side where the Argos want to try and throw the football, and it makes it tough.
Benefield coming into the game with 3. Up there with the league leaders. Argos kicking again. Prefontaine nails another nice one. This is Coleman underneath it. Nice little glide step there. It didn't fool too many, but he's out across the 45. We're at Skydome, and the Blue Bombers are handing the Argonauts all they can handle here tonight. Football this week will have all that story and everything else. Glenn Sooner and Chris Schultz back to its regular time this week, pal.
Yeah, NFL camp starting to open. We'll have some news on that. We have the CFL recaps. You know, I love this. Is a fun deal to do because I play sort of quarterback in that one, and I just hand the ball off to Chris Schultz.
Yeah, you're the
just
straight man. You're the straight man for Schultz.
Yeah, I just hand it right off to him.
Yeah.
He takes the ball and runs with it. I love it that way.
Blue Bombers have opened a huge lead here in the second half. Charles Roberts.
Look at Montford. You know what?
Tracked down by Montford.
You can't say enough about what he does, the little things. And I heard Matt Dunnigan there at the break. I heard him say that, you know, for the kids out there, this is how you play the game. And this is the second effort that you play with. You're down on the ground. You see the guy get up. You push off your knees and you dive and make the tackle.
Not a quarterback sack, but he has a running back for a loss there.
And look at the last 4 seasons for Joe Mumpert, 86 sacks. It's just, that's why. I mean, the bar was set so high that a couple of sacks in 4 3/4 of a game is just a down season.
Stoddard makes the catch from Kahari Jones. Everybody's taking a turn in that Bomber arsenal. And they're missing their number 1 receiver in touchdown receptions coming into this game. Arlen Bruce III. He came in with 5 touchdowns. Can't miss a game in this league because Stiegel has taken the lead now.
Gets awful tiring, too, for the defensive front 7 of the Argos, who have been in an all-out war with a pretty good offensive line up front. But they've been on the field quite a while, and it starts to wear on you, and the weapons that Kahari Jones has in his arsenal.
Another 19-yard gain. Charles Roberts again. The Argonauts have a high-pressure defense. It's high risk and high reward at times, but the only reward they've really gotten out of it in the second half is a 2-point safety.
Yeah, you're right. And that was after a good punt by Noel Prefontaine. Kahari Jones can take advantage quickly in the second half, 187 yards, which is basically, what, a quarter and a bit. So the 3 TDs that quickly.
Well, maybe he didn't want to get Justine too excited with the first half here tonight. There's Stiegel again, another huge catch. We talked about it earlier. Kahari is an expectant father. His wife is watching at home. Well,
she's happy
I shouldn't
now.
say
She's relaxed.
any moment, but any day.
She's got to be happy and relaxed now. I bet you after that first hit that Kahari took from Michael O'Shea, there might have been some concern that she was phoning right then. But he got up from that,
He's okay.
He's okay, Justine.
And you can see how well he's doing tonight.
Yeah, and he's doing fine, so just relax.
3 touchdowns in the second half for Kahari Jones, 4 on the evening. And he's looking at number 5 here as the Blue Bomber drive continues. On the ground this time, Mike Sellers, 6'3", 260 pounds. And he has one of the touchdowns tonight.
And made a one-hand catch. See, this is why they like him, because he can do this, which is just a straight counter play, counter to the backside. Here it comes right in there. He just attacks in there, and he can do that. He can run over you. But he made a one-hand catch for a touchdown and tiptoed down the sideline earlier in the game.
A 45-yarder to really get the Bombers into the lead here in the second half, early in the third quarter. Oh, nice fake, and it's Charles Roberts to the outside. Well covered by Martavius Houston.
Yeah, because it's one-on-one. And Charles Roberts, with room like that in one-on-one, is going to win more battles than he loses. And watch Martavius Houston get out there. He gets in space with a guy who can make anybody miss. Look at this. That's a lot of room. But look at him. He'll break down his feet. Look at all the room on each side. He'll break down his feet. He'll get square, cut back. First of all, he makes Charles Roberts go back to where his help, the pursuit, is coming from, and then makes a tackle himself.
Bombers with a pile of first downs, 22 compared to 13 for the Argos. Sellers again. Well, this is a bit of a clinic now. Bombers with 21 points in the third quarter. And the fourth quarter just nicely underway.
Well, and Dave Ritchie, you know, he knew that he's got the weapons offensively to a point where he doesn't have to panic when it's a close game in the first half. He doesn't have to panic if it's a close game going into the fourth quarter. He's got guys that can put a bunch on the board in a hurry.
Jones to the end zone, the touchdown toss, intercepted. Lost the interception by Smith. He lost it, and then Neal recovered it. Chris Neal comes up with the ball. So the Bombers come up short this time. They look rather comfortable at 32-15, don't they? Well, are you ready for some more football Friday night? Wendy's Friday Night Football. Eskimos without their starting quarterback. Lions on a bit of a roll. This looks like an interesting confrontation, does it not?
Very interesting. Edmonton reeling a little bit offensively, and BC going the opposite direction. So
Jason Moss, the Eskimo quarterback, doubtful at best right now. And never in doubt, Bishop is having a tough evening again. He wasn't in the end zone when he was tackled. He was forced back, so no points there.
Let's go back to that interception from Kahari Jones and show you who actually makes the play. Adrian Smith gets the interception, but I want to circle this guy who's been playing real well here for the Argos in the second half. Roger Dunbruck is going to push that offensive lineman right back into the lap. Kahari Jones, that changes his throwing motion. He has to put more air on it. Adrian Smith, though, really needed to kneel down after the interception. Then the ball's on the 25, not back where they are right now.
Broken running play on the previous made it 2nd and 12, and there was nowhere for the Argos to go there. Sean Daniels got the call. And when you look at the Argonauts, the way they're lined up right now, Juan Johnson was the guy they were looking to be their starting running back this season. He got the start tonight and was injured in the first half, so the Argos have had to improvise the run game.
Well, you know, you're down 32-15, and I wonder about the call on second down. I mean, you're 2nd and 10. Your chances of getting it, your first down on a running play like that on a draw are slim and none. And Slim left town months ago. So
well, at least a quarter ago.
And I know it's a big risk when you're in the end zone trying to throw the ball, but you got to risk now. You're 32-15 down, 7 to go.
Down by too much, and then you kick it to this guy, and he'll put it right back in your face, inside the 40, almost to the 35-yard line. That's Charles Roberts, and that's another 25 yards of returns for the Bombers, number 1. When the panel has had its final say, we'll go to Sports Center with Dutchie and Dan right after Wendy's CFL Live here tonight. The Argonauts getting a bit of a lesson from the Blue Bombers in the second half. The Argos had a narrow lead at halftime. But the Bombers, it seems, have had the ball most of the second half. Kahari Jones has Stiegel again.
Yeah, and this system that they've tried to put in here, Toronto, of having Michael Fletcher in charge of trying to track Milt Stiegel from the safety position has been problems. I mean, Stiegel, not only has he had the night he's had, but it's also created openings for Antonio Brown and some of the other receivers. And it's a tough situation to be in if you're lined up about 12 or 13 yards deep and you're asked to cover one-on-one Milt Stiegel.
Not an easy task at any time. 150 yards on 7 catches, and Stiegel has taken 2 of those to the end zone.
They can strike in a hurry.
Well, we told you the Argonauts had a narrow 2-point lead at halftime, and then this happened.
Kahari Jones, this was a nice one-hander from Mike Sellers. Look at his athletic ability.
Makes Montford miss.
Tiptoe down that sideline.
45 yards for Sellers.
And then the Stiegel show began. And here's one-hander
there. So long. Second touchdown of the game for Stiegel. There was one more Bomber touchdown after that.
So Paul LaPolice.
Procedure, Winnipeg, number 68, will repeat second down.
Offensive coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers has been very impressive in one category this year, I think, more than any, and that is the adjustments that he knows how to make and that he's made with his football team. Because they've not all been blowouts in the first half for the Bombers. I mean, last week, yeah, they had the big lead in the first half, but it hasn't been like that all season. And that's the one to Antonio Brown. He has
3
made
touchdowns unanswered. Sorry, pal.
Paul LaPolice has made the adjustments necessary all season long.
Jones took a hit, got it away. And they're calling that. I don't know what they're calling it. They haven't signaled yet. It looks like it's a catch.
Now, I know it's just 17 points, but that's another hard hit that Kahari Jones just took. And this is a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team that has to play in Montreal in just 4 days. On Saturday night. Another unbelievable catch from Milt Stiegel. Really pulled this one right off his thigh. And Stiegel has to go way down. We saw him with the one-hander.
Well, it is a catch.
I think he had it.
I think he did too.
Put his arm underneath it. He had it against his thigh, and he caught it.
The officials were a little late with the signal, I thought, but they got it right. There's Kahari getting hammered from behind. Roberts picks up the ball.
And this is what I'm talking about with Kahari Jones now.
I'm taking him out, aren't you?
Well, Dave Ritchie feels that 17 points is not comfortable enough, but
4:17 to go.
And Michael Bishop, the inexperienced quarterback across the other side, I'm not so sure. The other scenario is you're going to watch another hard hit from the backside right there.
They ruled it a fumble, recovered by Charles Roberts.
Chuck Walsh with that hit. Now,
that's the way things are going for the Bombers. They fumble it ahead, get a first down.
The other question is, if Kahari Jones has to go back and see his wife for the delivery of their baby, Pat Barnes plays the entire Montreal game.
So you might want to get him ready with a 17-point lead, is what you're saying.
I'm sort of implying along those lines, absolutely. You protect your starting quarterback, he doesn't get hit anymore, and maybe get a few reps for your backup.
Winnipeg, number 68, repeat first down.
Couple on Dave Mudge, the right tackle. Well, you've never been shy about giving advice to coaching staff.
Yeah, and I'll stay right up here in the booth and do it too. Well, it's just, it's just a thought you throw out there because, boy, he's been hit hard tonight, and you certainly don't want to lose him with a 17-point lead and 3 minutes to go.
You give him the opportunity to finish this drive, and then you get him out. It's 1st and 15 here. Got it away in a hurry. He's inside the 10 and on target to Stiegel one more time. Michael Fletcher has had a tough time tracking number 85 tonight.
Well, it's tough from the position that he's been put in to do the tracking. Again, you can see Stiegel uncovered at the line of scrimmage, and Michael Fletcher, who lines up 13, 14 yards back, he has to stand there and wait for him, and it's tough position to cover it.
Stiegel is closing in on 200 receiving yards tonight, and he's got 2 touchdowns. The Bombers in a walk at 32-15. What about the game ball tonight?
Well, I like Mr. Stiegel. And, you know, it's close. The honorable mention maybe to Kahari Jones because he played great after that big hit from O'Shea, but this kind of sold it for Stiegel.
That one-hander there.
That's taking that barbecue fork and shoving it right in the pigskin.
Couple of touchdown receptions for Stiegel. He's got 180-plus yards. And Kahari Jones likely has him in his sights on this play.
Does.
That settles it for me. Stiegel gets the game ball tonight. The Sport Check CA Player of the Game, brought to you by SportCheck.ca, Canada's choice for sports. 3 touchdowns for Milt Stiegel.
Well, this one is, again, all-out pressure. Stiegel this time is one-on-one and Antonius Bonner, so at least they're not putting Michael Fletcher in a difficult situation, but Stiegel just makes a nice move at the line of scrimmage to shake Antonius Bonner, and that's a tough catch, folks. I mean, he makes it look easy, but he certainly isn't. So, yeah, I'm sold too, partner. Let's give him the game ball.
Well, I already did.
Oh, you've given it.
It's over and done.
Yeah.
191 yards, 10 receptions. That's a nice little average, isn't it?
Well, you said to open this entire show, this game is about quarterbacks and receivers more than not.
You're quoting me now.
And, yeah, I just quoted you.
I'm impressed.
And there's the quarterback.
Now sit him down. Sit 17 down.
Yeah.
He's tossed his 5 touchdowns tonight.
Now it's his 3rd time this year already. He's thrown for 5 touchdowns, and his pace is probably, I don't know where his pace is now, but it's probably up over 70. And I wonder if he was on the phone to his wife.
Well, Justine, we're going to sit him down right now, even if Dave Ritchie won't.
Yeah. And this is a tough catch, folks. I mean, he's got Antonius Bonner chasing him down from behind, and calmly Milt Stiegel reaches up over his right shoulder and corrals that one. And a real nice touch pass from Kahari to put it up and over Antonius Bonner. So the 1-2 combination works one more time.
Make it 39-15. The Bombers all over the Argos here tonight in the second half in particular. The Argo defense hung in through the first half and even had the lead, albeit only by 2 points at halftime. But the Argos offense has really sputtered with the rookie at quarterback and the #1 running back out of proceedings here tonight, Juan Johnson, injured. So it's been a long evening for the Argos.
Well, you know, and things really snowballed a little bit, and you wonder, and I think the question that Gary Etcheverry will have with regards to this offense from the media here in Toronto after this game will be, why did you stick so much with the running game in the second half when you were behind like you were? And maybe it was the throw from Bishop that was intercepted by Lamar McGriggs that
set up a touchdown.
Yeah, it set up a touchdown, and maybe Gary said, you know, we better just run the ball a little bit more. You know, it just, because there's no question that he will be grilled on why run the ball so much when you're down. I mean, it was 32-15, and yes, they were backed up in their own end, but they ran the ball on 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 11. That's not going to get you the first much. Now, I know he has a young quarterback, and in the middle of a game when it's closer, yeah, the balance is important. But when it's desperation time, it's desperation time.
Air it out. You've got some targets. Gifted receivers. Bishop couldn't find anyone. David Benefield had him in his sights.
Well, the flag was thrown, but if that ball crossed the line of scrimmage, which I'm pretty sure it did.
Did he get it?
It shouldn't be intentional grounding, but that may be what the call is.
There's no infraction on the play. It was intentional grounding, but it crossed the line of scrimmage. It's third down.
Way to go, Hawkeye.
Oh, we got that figured.
Another long night for the new head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Gary Echeverry. And an important game coming up next for Toronto. The Ottawa Renegades. Prefontaine has punted extremely well. Charles Roberts should be tired by now, but he gets across midfield and into Argo territory. 2:24 to go. It's all Winnipeg at Skydome tonight. Well, the Blue Bombers will go to the backup. Pat Barnes is in.
You made the call. You made the call.
I promised Justine it would happen.
Yeah. So now this is a good idea. Get Pat Barnes in there, and he gets a few reps and gets to face Gary Echeverry's defense, which is tough on any quarterbacks, let alone a young one, just as far as the reads go. But Kahari figured it out in the second half, didn't he?
Certainly did. 1 touchdown toss in the first half, 4 in the second, 364 yards passing. A little below last week. He's
well, you know,
dropped a yard or two there. He was 375 last week.
Well, it's a little below. He got what he had to do done.
Actually, I'm wrong. It was 325. So he's
and I'll tell you, he's going to have a few ice packs on him after this game too, because he did get hit from start to finish tonight.
So the new quarterback at the controls for Winnipeg to wind this thing up. And here's Stoddard wide open. Caught the first pass of the game for the Blue Bombers. Well, we've talked about the game story here tonight. I guess at the top of the list is Kahari Jones, 5 touchdown tosses.
And 3 of them to Milt Stiegel. 191 yards for Stiegel so far.
Nice average for Stiegel, is it not? 19.1.
Quick math.
I like it when the 10s are up there.
Yeah, I hear you. And the Bombers are hoping that by Saturday they get a sack there for the Argos. They're hoping by Saturday when they play Montreal to get Arland Bruce III back in the lineup, and there he is. Of course, the story well documented now. What happened to Arland Bruce? He was
the Bombers' leading touchdown catcher coming into this game, but altercation in Winnipeg has kept him out of the lineup tonight, and as you say, Winnipeg hopeful that he can be back for the Montreal game on Saturday.
Got a gash in his head, and they're hoping that he can put the helmet on by Saturday and get him back.
Chuck Walsh got to Barnes in the previous play for his first sack. Nice read by Barnes there, and still short of the first down after the big loss.
They're very excited about having Pat Barnes here. Of course, they got Pat Barnes from the Calgary Stampeders in the offseason. And that caused a little bit of controversy between Ottawa and Calgary and Winnipeg, because General Manager Eric Tillman over there in Ottawa was looking at Pat Barnes as well. But he's in Winnipeg, and they're happy to have him because they feel like they've got 2 guys that could start in this league, and they think Pat Barnes could start on some other teams. So it's nice when you have the confidence in your backup like that.
Westwood is in for a long field goal. It's 46 yards, and it's good. So Westwood keeps on kicking. He became the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' all-time leading scorer last week, 7th all-time in the CFL. So only one blip on this Blue Bombers drive toward the Western Division Championship and a berth in the Grey Cup so far this season. That 1-point loss to the Renegades 2 weeks ago. And the Bombers have put up a pile of points since then, including 55 last week in the rematch against Ottawa on 42 here tonight.
Well, Bishop stays in the game to give him as many reps as possible. That one almost intercepted. You know, and part of the downfall here for the Argos tonight, they lost Juan Johnson to injury. He's got that knee injury, never returned in the second half. Now, interestingly enough, partner, I was roaming the sidelines before the game, and I ran into a guy who a lot of CFL fans may know, Mr. Robert Drummond.
In town?
Yeah, now Robert Drummond.
On vacation.
Robert Drummond is on vacation, and he is living in BC still. He's living in BC, but he happened to be on vacation here, and I talked to him, and quite frankly, he is negotiating with the Toronto Argonauts at this moment.
So we've got a little scoop here tonight.
So with Juan Johnson out of the lineup, Robert Drummond's stock just went up, and the importance to possibly sign him. Now, he is in the building somewhere, and he is probably left by now, but he was out there on the sideline at before the game, and I did chat with him, and he's looking forward to get back in the CFL. He wants to play about 3 more years.
Should mention that was a sack by Wayne Weathers, and this is an interception by Brian Clark. And the Bombers get an opportunity for more. "25 seconds remain in this one. Hard to believe that the Argos led 13-11 at halftime. Dave Ritchie was not a happy coach. All of a sudden, the Bombers turned it on. And Dave has reason to smile in spite of the fact that he doesn't have much time to get ready for Montreal.
Beside him is Les Brown, who works with linebackers, and boy, does he have a good group to work with. You saw Brian Clark with that interception. Rylan Wickman, Lamar McGriggs, and Brian Clark. Is there a better combination of the 3 in Canadian football right now? I mean, Singor Mobley and Terry Ray and AJ Gass out there is pretty nice in Edmonton, but
Baron Simpson makes the whole crew look pretty good in BC.
Well, and Carl Kidd. Carl Kidd's good. You know, I mean, there's some good linebacking crews, but you could make an argument that Winnipeg's is tops.
Well, you see, now you've dug yourself a hole here.
No, I haven't. Because you know what
you're going to have to mention every linebacking group in the league.
No. You know what my argument is? First in the league against the run coming into this game. First in the league against the pass coming into this game.
So you're using numbers to back yourself up. So when you bump into the rest of the players out there, they're not going to be questioning you.
No.
I think you make a heck of a point. Dave Ritchie wins again. Blue Bombers are a terrific football team, and Gary Etcheverry has some work to do.
Well, he does. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got to find a running back. Possibly Robert Drummond could be his answer, who is apparently very close, but Michael Bishop still has a ways to go.
Kahari Jones on top of his game for definite. Stiegel has the touchdown receptions, and Kahari tosses him the ball. Time now for the TSN Turning Point. Early in the third quarter, we believe.
Kahari Jones is going to find the big man. Mike Sellers at 260 pounds, dancing out on the sideline after a one-handed catch. Jumps over Clifford Ivory. Really changed the entire momentum of the football game. And after that, it was the Milt Stiegel show, and Stiegel has had the best performance of a receiver in the Canadian Football League this year.
Sellers with a touchdown to turn it around. That gave the Bombers the lead. A cash donation will be made to the Canadian Coaches Association for the training and development of amateur coaches across Canada on behalf of TSN. Milt Stiegel and company, all those guys got a touchdown pass tonight. And the final is right there.
Wendy's CFL Live on TSN is brought to you in part by Wendy's. Wendy's Bacon Mushroom Melt is back for a limited time. Wendy's, it's better here. By Molson Canadian, I am Canadian. And by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed.
Well, that's a wrap for tonight. We will be back at you Thursday night when the Hamilton Tiger Cats are in Ottawa to take on the Renegades. Darren Flutie and company. The next edition of the TSN Sports Center coming up moments from now. Dutch and Pollard all ready to go with all the news of the day. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers blitzed the Argos again. 42-15 was the final. They improved to 4-1, while the Argos dropped to 1-4. Thanks for watching, everybody. You are watching TSN, Canada's sports leader.
TSN, Canada's sports leader.